As a director, Christopher Nolan has always aimed to give audiences something they haven't seen before. Taking influences from the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s, he has managed to create marketable blockbusters that reach a wide audience, all the while maintaining an aesthetic reminiscent of the groundbreaking films of the 1970s. In many ways, he has redefined the idea of what a contemporary blockbuster should be. Often, he has hit the mark, but not without particular disappointments. With Interstellar, his ninth feature film, two questions are brought to the table. Is the film an incredibly groundbreaking, mind-blowing experience that stands as one of the best films ever made? No, it's not. Is it a visually dazzling piece of cinema with all the right influences that manages to entertain as well as captivate its audience? Absolutely. The film's origins were from a script that Nolan's brother and co-writer Jonathan initially wrote for Steven Spielberg. After Spielberg getting into the director's chair never happened, Christopher Nolan took on the project, feeling right after he made Inception, it would be a great film to make after he concluded the Dark Knight trilogy. Since crossing over to big-budget mainstream blockbusters with Batman Begins in 2005, Nolan has always looked at particular classic influences as a means to give wide audiences quality entertainment, all the while showcasing a shadow of the most notable directors from the past. The appearance of Gotham City in Batman Begins drew a lot of influence from Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, and at certain points I can see some Kurosawa in there, while The Dark Knight was directly influenced by Michael Mann's Heat. Inception reminded me a lot of what it would look like if Stanley Kubrick directed an M.C. Escher painting, and with The Dark Knight Rises, you get, strangely enough, an interesting blend of Dr. Zhivago and Lawrence of Arabia. Interstellar's influences can be likened to three specific directors whose work is present in the film's two respective settings. The scenes on Earth reminded me a lot of Terrence Malick's vision of Americana, with a little Spielberg dashed in, while the space setting is Nolan's homage to Kubrick's 2001 A Space Odyssey. Even the space docking scene in 2001 is directly referenced in two of the film's scenes. The story follows an alternate history of our planet where the Earth is slowly becoming uninhabitable. Crops are dying and agriculture has become the primary concern among the government and the population. Even NASA has been shut down for the most part. We have Matthew McConaughey playing a former astronaut turned farmer who's also a widow and a dedicated family man. Eventually, he is asked to lead a space mission through a recently discovered wormhole to enter a different galaxy with hopes of discovering a new planet that human beings can inhabit. I really liked this story, and I have to say McConaughey was a great leading man for this. I found myself interested in his personal story and was dedicated to the hope of seeing him eventually succeed in the mission and reunite with his family. Nolan really did a great job at giving the audience someone to root for. On a visual level, this is beautiful to look at. There's a great balance between practical effects and CGI, and what is artificially created looks vividly real to the eye. The climax features some absolutely gorgeous eye candy that really had me mesmerized. Now, when it comes to the big picture of the climax, I felt things just got a little too ambitious, resulting in a payoff that tended to be more overcomplicated than satisfying. I will not reveal a single thing, but I will say that some research on the plot after viewing the film may come in handy for a better comprehension of the finale. I understood the basic idea of it, and it was clever, but there are little details here and there that just seemed relatively unnecessary and did more damage to the ending than help it. I also found the length of the film, which runs at 169 minutes, just 11 short of 3 hours, to be a tad over long, which, as I've stated before, is a common issue I find with big-budget films these days. Films like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, The Wolf of Wall Street, and The Godfather Part 2 specifically, which each range between 178 and 200 minutes, have justified their lengthy runtimes by making every moment valuable to the plot. Others, such as the Hobbit films, which are 3 films at just under 3 hours each, adapted from a novel that is just over 200 pages, played out like more of a collection of needless filler than an actual flowing film. Interstellar could have easily been cut down a little bit and still told a cohesive story. Overall, this is a blockbuster that manages to be a step ahead of other films of its caliber. With dazzling visuals, likable characters, and a unique story, I would call this a good movie with a few forgivable flaws. It's worth seeing on the big screen, and Nolan really works from the right influences. The ideas of Kubrick, Malick, and Spielberg are wonderfully present, and Nolan remains one of the best blockbuster filmmakers in the game.